Senate will come to order. Mr. Panetta, please call the roll.
Bridges. Buckner.
Present.
Coleman. Cook. Cook.
Senator Cook?
He's between here and the office, if you could be excused.
Oh, here he comes. Say it again.
Cook. Quorum. Danielson. Danielson.
Here.
Donovan. Stenberg. Fields. Gardner. Janal. Gonzalez. Hanson. Heisey. Holbert. Hawkes Lewis. Kirkmeyer. Colker. Lee. Liston. Lindeen. Moreno. Pedersen. Fiola. Rankin. Rodriguez. Scott. Simpson. Smallwood. Story. Story. Winter. Woodward. Zenzinger. Story. Story.
Here.
Mr. President.
Here, with 35 present, 0 absent, and 0 excused, we have a quorum. Would the good senator from Longmont please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Thank you, Mr. President. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the journal. Senator Kirkmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the reading of the Journal of Friday, February 19th, 2021 be dispensed with, and that the journal be approved as corrected by the Secretary.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. Senate Services.
February 22nd, 2021, correctly printed, Senate Bills 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, correctly engrossed, Senate Bills 19, 26, and 58.
I'll take that date.
Committee reports.
February 16th, Mr. President, the Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs has under consideration has had a hearing on the following appointments and recommends that the appointments be placed on the consent calendar confirmed. Members of the State Personnel Board, effective June 30th, 2020, for terms expiring June 30th, 2023. Roxanne White of Denver, Colorado, appointed. Karen Naparco, Littleton, Colorado, appointed. February 16th, 2021, Mr. President, the Committee on State Veteran Affairs and State Veterans and Military Affairs has had under consideration has had a hearing on the following appointments. Recommends that the appointments be placed on the consent calendar confirmed. Executive Director of the Department of Military and Veteran Affairs and Adjutant General for a term expiring at the pleasure of the Governor, Brigadier General Laura McClellan of Golden, Colorado, appointed.
Third reading of bills, consent. Third reading of bills, consent calendar. Mr. Panetta, will you please read the bill listed on the consent calendar?
Senate Bill 19 by Senators Colker and Simpson, Representative Tipper and Rich, concerning the authority of assessors to mail abbreviated notices of valuation on a postcard for property tax purposes.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the passage of the one bill on the third reading of bills consent calendar, which includes Senate Bill 19.
Is there any discussion on Senate Bill 019? On third reading consent calendar. Seeing none, are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, and 0 excuse, Senate Bill 019 is passed. Co-sponsors. Senators Moreno, Mr. Minority Leader, Cook, Woodward, Gardner, Priola, Scott, Bridges, Kirkmeyer, Smallwood, Lundin, Fields, Rodriguez, Rankin, Janal, Liston, Story, third reading of bills, final passage. Mr. Panetta, please read the title to Senate Bill 070.
Senate Bill 70 by Senators Moreno and Representative Byrd, concerning the authority of a board of county commissioners to require the registration of businesses.
Senator Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 70 on third reading and final passage.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 070 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? Senators Cook, Woodward, Scott, Sonnenberg, Gardner, Lundin, Heisey, Winter, Senator Winter.
I apologize, Mr. President. I did not wish to do a no vote on this bill.
Senator Winter will be recorded as an aye vote on Senate Bill 070. No votes on Senate Bill 070. Smallwood. With 27 ayes, 8 no votes, 0 absent, 0 excuse, Senate Bill 070 is passed. Co-sponsors. Senators Winter, Gonzalez, Rodriguez, Buckner, Story, Zenzinger, Fields, Colker, Janal. Please add the President. Mr. Panetta, please read the title to Senate Bill 026.
Senate Bill 26 by Senator Moreno and Representative Ortiz, concerning the eligibility of discharged LGBT veterans for specified state benefits.
Senator Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 26 on third reading and final passage.
Is there any discussion? Senator Janal.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I want to thank my colleague from Commerce City for bringing this important bill forward. The Restoration of Honor Act is about fair treatment for all Coloradans. who have served in the armed forces. They serve our country and their fellow citizens. They work hard and they make sacrifices. And sometimes they are called upon to make the ultimate sacrifice. It is important to honor that service and that sacrifice. However, some service members have been discharged because of their sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression. Not because they were bad at their jobs or because they conducted themselves poorly, but simply because of who they are and who they love. And this is unacceptable. This is a personal issue for me, and it pains me deeply to see the unjust discrimination that members of the LGBTQ community face on a daily basis, even now. And as a member of the LGBTQ community myself, I too have faced unfair treatment because of who I am and who I love. And it needs to stop, and that is what this bill does. All people need to be treated fairly, regardless of their gender expression, and sexual orientation. And by creating a discharged LGBT veteran status in Colorado law and enabling those veterans to access relevant Colorado state programs or benefits, this bill is an important step towards creating equality. I stand in strong support of Senate Bill 26. Thank you.
Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. President and colleagues. I will be an aye on this bill. But I want to say that I have reservations about what the bill does. Now, that'll cause everybody's ears to prick up a little bit, but let me tell you what my reservation is. What this bill does is, at a state level, it creates the eligibility of a discharged LGBT veteran to have specific state benefits without changing their DD-214, their discharge document. Now, I think as a message and as a symbol, as a commitment to these veterans and their service, this is a good piece of legislation. But I asked myself when I looked at this bill, well, the first thing I did was, when I looked at this bill, was go, why are they doing that? And the reason I said, why are they doing that, is because for those of you familiar with this issue, as I am, in 2011, what was then known as, and I guess still known as, the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy was changed. And that itself was a policy different from something that had been the policy through, I want to say, probably 1994 or so. So the significance of that was and is this. Any service member who served and served honorably, but has a discharge document that reflects something other than honorable service, has the opportunity, and in fact, I want to say this to the people of Colorado and to those who may be in this situation, you may seek relief from your Military Services Board for Correction of Military Records. And it has been the policy of the Department of Defense since 2011 to consider those requests, to consider them liberally, to right those past wrongs, and to provide those veterans who were discharged for LGBT acts conduct status that should never have been status in any case, to correct their discharge. And if a veteran came to my office, as they sometimes do, my law office, and said, I've got a DD 214 that shows other than honorable conditions because I'm an LGBT veteran and I was found in this situation and I was discharged under other than honorable conditions. Even after this bill passes, I think I would not have them spend a lot of time on this because what they get is a certificate that says they're an LGBT veteran. But if I help them by going to the Board for Correction of Military Records for their service, they'll get a DD 214 that says they served honorably and were discharged. That provides federal benefits, state benefits, and a document that they can show to anyone and to the world that they served honorably. And it seems to me that which has existed since 2011, is a far better avenue for our LGBT veterans. But having said that, I'm sure there are those who would contend that perhaps the Board for Correction of Military Records process is not as accessible. I would say that's not true. And in fact, that is the process that I would advise anyone in this situation to pursue. Because a changed and corrected DD Form 214 will resolve this, and it will say honorable for their discharge, and that is what they need. But I will be a yes, but I want to explain why I have reservations and why I think the bill is more, in so many ways, symbolic than practical as a remedy for those. And I want to make clear to those individuals who may have a DD 214 that reflects negative service, you ought to look online for the Board for Correction of Military Records of your service and pursue that avenue. If you pursue this, fine, but don't give up, because having a DD 214 is the gold standard for your service. Thank you.
Senator Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. President. And as I stated on second reading, I again want to thank my colleague, the Simple Country lawyer from El Paso County, for his expertise and work in this area. I echo his comments. That is what is needed by these veterans, a correction to their DD 214 that grants them all of the benefits that they are entitled to for having served this country. So I echo those comments, and I appreciate my colleague as well for educating me that there are discharges that go beyond honorable, dishonorable, and other than honorable. There are bad conduct discharges that still need to be addressed to make this bill as absolutely clear as it can be. And I've been in communication with the House sponsor, and we'll be making those corrections in the House. So thank you again for your expertise.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the passage of Senate Bill 026 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, Senate Bill 026 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Hawkes Lewis, Janal, Buckner, Story, Fields, Danielson, Coleman, Zenzinger, Winter, Lee, Rodriguez, Kolker, Donovan, Hanson, Bridges, Gonzalez, Pedersen, Majority Leader. Please have the President. General orders, second reading bills. Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate resolve itself into Committee of the Whole for consideration of general orders, second reading of bills.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. The Senate will resolve itself in the Committee of the Whole for consideration of general orders, second reading of bills, and Senator Zenzinger will take the chair.
The committee will come to order and the coat rule is relaxed. Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 65?
Senate Bill 65 by Senators Liston and Representative Mullica concerning the disclosure of information related to the gasoline and special fuels tax.
Senator Liston.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Madam Chairman, I move Senate Bill 65, and there was no Finance Committee report. And I ask for an aye vote.
To the bill.
Thank you. Members, this is landmark legislation. What this bill does, it establishes a process for local law enforcement to request fuel distribution records without going through a subpoena process. This also maintains customer information on gasoline and protection that is required by law. This bill, I guarantee, will give you gas. So I ask for an aye vote.
Order, order. Senator Bridges.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to add that in committee, what we heard is that law enforcement currently makes phone calls. There's sort of a range of approaches on this. So even though there is not a warrant that is required for this, this is in many cases raising the standard for which law enforcement needs to act in order to get this information.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 65. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. No. The ayes have it, and the bill is adopted. Majority Leader Fenberg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move the committee rise and report.
The motion before the body is for the committee to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee will rise and report.
The Senate will come to order. Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has met and had a bill under consideration. Will the clerk please read the report?
Mr. President, your committee in the whole begs leave to report it has had under consideration the following attached bills being the second reading thereof and makes the following recommendations thereon. Senate Bill 65 passed on second reading and ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage.
Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the report.
The motion is for the adoption of the committee of the whole report. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, the committee of the whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 065 passed on second reading, ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Consideration of governor's appointments consent calendar. Will the Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, a very grave mistake was almost made here this morning. The enemy tried to enter this chamber. The enemy. As a Trojan horse in the form of the executive director of the Department of Revenue. This will not stand. And as your majority leader, I request that that confirmation come off the consent calendar.
Seeing no objection, that confirmation will be removed from the consent calendar. Mr. Panetta, please read the appointments listed on the consent calendar.
Member of the Colorado Limited Gaming Control Commission effective July 1st, 2020, for a term expiring July 1st, 2024. Sean Lewis Coleman of Boulder, Colorado, to serve as a member from the 2nd Congressional District, a representative of registered electors and a Democrat reappointed. Member of the Lottery Commission effective July 1st, 2020, for a term expiring July 1st, 2024. Stella Peterson of Arvada, Colorado, to serve as a member of the public and as a Democrat reappointed. Members of the Colorado Healthcare Facilities Authority Board of Directors effective June 30th, 2020, for terms expiring June 30th, 2024. Beverly K. Sloan of Denver, Colorado, unaffiliated, reappointed. George W. Gray III of Denver, Colorado, Democrat, reappointed.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the confirmation of all the appointments listed on the consent calendar, which includes members of the Colorado Limited Gaming Control Commission, member of the Colorado Lottery Commission, not the Executive Director of the Department of Revenue, and members of the Colorado Health Facilities Authority Board of Directors.
Is there any discussion? The motion before the body is the confirmation of all the appoints listed on the consent calendar. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, all the appointments are confirmed. Consideration of governor's appointments. Message from the governor.
November 13th, 2020, to the Honorable Colorado Senate. Pursuant to the powers conferred upon me by the constitutional laws of the state of Colorado, I have the honor to designate, appoint, reappoint, and submit to your consideration the following. Members of the Colorado Aeronautical Board effective December 19, 2020, for terms expiring December 19, 2023. George Merritt of Lafayette, Colorado, serve as representative of the statewide Association of Airport Managers appointed. Trina Sosbo of Bloomfield, Colorado, serve as representative of the statewide Association of Pilots appointed. Mark Van Tyne of Park, Colorado, serve as a member familiar with and supportive of the state's aviation issues, interests, and concerns appointed. Sincerely, Jared Polis, Governor.
Announcements. I don't see any announcements. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yes. Good work.
Consideration of governor's appointments. Will the clerk please read the appointment to the Executive Director of Department of Revenue?
Executive Director of the Department of Revenue effective December 21st, 2020, for term expiring at the pleasure of the Governor, Mark Ferrandino of Denver, Colorado, appointed.
Senator Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the confirmation of former Speaker Mark Ferrandino of Denver, Colorado, as the Executive Director of the Department of Revenue. However, colleagues, I don't believe that the Senate will stand for this Trojan horse. I have more faith in us than that. So, Mr. President, I do request a roll call vote on this confirmation.
Senator Sonnenberg.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. We need to really have this discussion. You know, I've known Mr. Ferrandino, and I'm going to say Mr. because I don't know what title to use because he won't stay in a job. You know, he served in the House, he went on JBC, he left the JBC to become Speaker. Then he left Speaker to work for Denver Public Schools, and now he wants to do something else. Can this guy keep a job? I'm going to respectfully ask, well, I'd like to ask for a no vote, just for kicks and grins. I think he did that to me once in the House. I just wanted to bring that up to our attention. Do we really want somebody that changes jobs every couple of years just for because? With all due respect, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, senators, I knew Mark Ferrandino. Mark Ferrandino was a friend of mine. And senators, you're no Mark Ferrandino. I personally, though I may fall in line with my colleagues, because that's the kind of senator I am, I just fall in line all the time. I personally was gratified to see this appointment because, a lot of people come to the General Assembly saying they'll never vote for license plate bills, and they eventually give in. But I think it's particularly appropriate that former Speaker Ferrandino be appointed to the Department of Revenue where license plate fees are collected, because he was true to his commitment the entire time that he was in the General Assembly. Not like others who said, no, I'll never vote for them, and then, the Girl Scouts came to them, or whatever the particular cause was, and they weakened. But, if you're going to have a tax collector, you want one like that. He didn't weaken ever, no matter what the cause. And this is a difficult vote for me because there's a lot of people asking me to vote no on this. But Mr. President, something that Speaker Ferrandino did in my hour last year, even though I was in the minority, I got late bills. So, as difficult as it is for me to be a contrarian, I want to say this is a great appointment. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Gorham.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I too got late bills, but thankfully I don't ever have to ask him for another one again. I've known Mark for about 100 years. Well, at least it seemed that long. I came in 11 years ago and met Mark Ferrandino. Came in the majority, and that's a nice place to be, folks. We ought to try it again. But in the interest of saving time, I just instantly disliked him. So, this is an easy vote for me today. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before the body is the adoption of the appointment of Mr. Mark Ferrandino to the Department of Revenue. Are there any no votes? Excuse me, a roll call vote had been requested. A roll call vote has been requested. Mr. Panetta, please poll the senators.
Bridges. Bridges, aye. Buckner.
Aye.
Pass, sorry.
Senator Bridges will be recorded as a pass.
Oh, we gotta do that. Buckner.
Aye.
She said aye, you say aye.
Okay. Buckner, aye. Coleman. Coleman, aye. Cook.
Cook pass.
Cook, pass. Quorum. Quorum, pass. Danielson.
Aye.
Danielson, aye. Donovan. Donovan, pass. Fenberg. Fenberg, pass. Fields. Fields, aye. Gardner. Gardner, pass. Janal. Janal, aye. Gonzalez. Gonzalez, pass. Hanson. Hanson, aye. Heisey. Heisey, pass. Holbert.
Pass.
Holbert, pass. Hawkes Lewis. Hawkes Lewis, aye. Kirkmeyer. Kirkmeyer, pass. Colker. Colker, aye. Lee. Lee, aye. Liston. Liston, pass. Lundin. Pass. Lundin, pass. Moreno. Moreno. Come.
Senator Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. President. Pursuant to Rule 17C, I ask to be excused from this vote.
Senator Moreno will be recorded as 17C.
Moreno, 17C. Pedersen. Pedersen, aye. Priola. Priola, pass. Rankin. Rankin, pass. Rodriguez. Rodriguez, aye. Scott. Scott, pass. Simpson. Simpson, pass.
For sharing,
Smallwood. Smallwood, pass.
to specific
Sonnenberg.
content
Sonnenberg, pass.
on the other hand and
Story.
helping.
Story.
Aside from that. Aye.
Story, aye. Winter. Winter, aye. Woodward. Woodward, pass. Zenzinger. Zenzinger, pass. Mr. President. I'm sorry.
Start with Bridges again.
Start again.
Start again?
Just the pass because of Bridges.
Okay, oh, they're passing. I get it now. Bridges. Bridges, pass. Cook.
Pass.
Cook, pass. Quorum. You say pass? Quorum, pass. Donovan. Donovan, aye. Fenberg. Fenberg, aye. Gardner. Gardner, aye. Gonzalez. Gonzalez, aye. Heisey. Heisey, aye. Holbert. Holbert, aye. Kirkmeyer. Kirkmeyer, aye. Liston. Liston, aye. Lundin.
I wish to be recorded as a meh. Aye.
Lundin, aye. Priola. Priola, aye. Rankin. Rankin, aye. Scott. Scott, aye. Is that right? Simpson. Simpson, aye. Smallwood. Smallwood, aye. Sonnenberg. Sonnenberg, aye. Woodward. Woodward, aye. Zenzinger. Zenzinger, aye. Bridges. Bridges, aye. Cook. Cook, aye. Quorum. Oops.
Sarah Quorum.
Thank you, Mr. President. From the fear of peer pressure, I would like to be recorded as an aye.
Senator Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. President. Although I do have a personal interest in this matter, I do withdraw my prior request for 17C and instead ask to be recorded as an aye vote.
Senator Moreno and Senator Quorum will both be recorded as aye votes.
Moreno, aye. Mr. President.
Aye. With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, and no 17Cs, Mr. Mark Ferrandino is appointed to the Department of Revenue. Message from the House.
February 22nd, 2021. February 22nd, 2021, Mr. President, the House has adopted and transmits herewith HJR 20-1002 as printed in House Journal, February 22nd, 2021.
Announcements. Mr. Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President, and to Director Ferrandino, congratulations. The governor made a very, very good choice here. Speaker Ferrandino is one of the most brilliant minds on the other side of the aisle who I've had the pleasure to serve with, and I think the Department of Revenue is going to be in good hands. Thank you all for playing along in our little bit of torment on confirming that. And Mr. President, Mr. Majority Leader, thank you so much for allowing a little humor in our chamber. Thank you, Mr. President.
Further announcements? Senator Phillips.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a kind reminder that today at 1:30, the Health and Human Service Committee will be meeting at 1:30, and we have 2 bills.
Senator Hansen.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues on the Appropriations Committee will be meeting tomorrow, gaveling in at 8 o'clock. We will be covering the supplemental and associated bills. Please be there 8 o'clock sharp. Thank you.
Senator Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. President. My first trip to the well. Colleagues and senators, I just wanted to take this opportunity to offer a tribute and recognize our frontline and essential workers.
If you ask for a moment of personal privilege,
sorry.
we also
Mr. President, request a moment of personal privilege. Request a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I screwed up my first trip to the well. Just an opportunity to offer a tribute and recognize the frontline and essential workers of Colorado, along with President Garcia, the House Majority Leader, and the House Minority Leader. We wish to acknowledge the hard work of frontline and essential workers throughout the COVID-19 crisis. Healthcare professionals, first responders, educators, in-home health caregivers, public utility workers, and other essential workers from a vast number of industries across the state have steadfastly performed duties that are vital to the health, safety, and well-being of Coloradans, despite the increased risk of exposure to the virus. Others, grocery store and pharmacy clerks, fast food and restaurant workers, public transit employees, gas station attendants, postal workers,
and trucking and transport industry workers have kept our supply chains of food and medicine running and have had to quickly adapt to uncertain conditions while providing essential services. Our other first responders, including police officers, firefighters, emergency medical technicians, and our National Guard and military, have continued to protect and serve Coloradans. I wish to extend our sincerest thanks and deepest appreciation to all essential and frontline workers who have stepped up, preserved, and helped our state combat the virus and its secondary effects head on. I appreciate the opportunity, and again, thank you to our frontline and essential workers. Thank you, Mr. President.
Further announcements. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, we have just a couple of bills to read across. You do not need to be here. For now, Mr. President, I move that the Senate recess until 11 a.m. today.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the Senate will stand in recess until 1100 today.
Right, that was my thought. We need to have a base. Yeah, this, didn't do it. I could include sausage. That is silver.